Okay, welcome everyone to the October 16th Analytics Instrumentation Sync. I have the first agenda item. So hello everyone. I think I've met most of you already in a meeting, but I'll be the acting engineering manager for Analytics Instrumentation, taking over from Dennis, who took over from Busty. It's a long chain of things, but hopefully we can keep it stable from here on out. Like Dennis said 2 weeks ago in the agenda, I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, open question to everyone. What do we usually talk about here?
Well, on our things, usually we discuss either the ongoing or future milestones and quarters, or sometimes some things that are happening that need a discussion.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's a bit different. I'm board team member here. I'm belonging to the data team, but I'm tightly cooperated with the guys from analytics instrumentalization team. So from my perspective, I always try to know more what's going on in their team and how we should use the data and other way around, what we are doing sometimes, or we can help and support them. So it's just a two-door decision making, like I would say, to exchange information. So that's my mainly perspective and motivation why I'm here.
Cool, thank you. So it seems like it's pretty standard for Team Sync in terms of looking at past milestone, current one, any hot topics that we need to sync on. Um, on that,
We've
oh,
we've also just like sometimes we've just kind of pushed like sync discussions, async discussions to kind of get more in, input and kind of do more brainstorming to sync calls. I don't. One thing that comes to mind is when we discussed what to do with our retrospectives. I think we discussed that on a sync call not too long ago, and also sometimes some design decisions. Um, Architecture decisions, this kind of stuff.
yeah, makes sense. And thanks, Ankit, for writing down. I'm bad at speaking and writing, so if you ever just see my head nodding without me saying anything, that's what I'm doing. Um, would it make sense to everyone if we talk about how the current milestone is going, or is it better to leave the question or leave it open to the team to just raise any topics that need attention, and then we can skip over that?
I think usually we just leave it to the team members to raise if there are some topics that need discussing on team sync.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that works. And then I'll link there to the 17.6 milestone plan. Just want to make sure that everyone's seen that. And also all credit to Tanuja and Busty. I barely touched that, so thanks for them for prepping this and making my job a lot easier coming back from time off. Any questions about the milestone plan? No? Okay. We can always talk about this async. Then something I also just want to raise is Sabrina, our CTO, has requested this initiative that teams be a lot more proactive and not just reactive. And that means spending about 40% of our time budget, but we'll see how much of that actually works out in reality on looking ahead and working towards that. So either reducing technical debt or implementing changes that will make it easier for our architecture to support upcoming user features. So I'm really just putting out some rhetorical questions here, and I will be also relying a lot on the team for not just technical knowledge, but also knowledge of like how the team's been doing and like common problems that you've all been facing. because I'm coming in new here, I lack a lot of the historic context about like what have been reoccurring issues or reoccurring things that you would like to refactor or improve. And now at the start of this technical roadmap, I'll be drafting one next week and taking it to Dennis. This is a good time to raise issues that you would like to see improved. So thank you all for some initial responses that I've gotten on that. And Ankit, you have the first response to that. Would you like to vocalize?
Yeah, so one of the like recurring bugs like we have been seeing is like whenever the product group is changing or removed, like we have been getting the alerts and like I think then only we come to know like this has been changed and like we work on fixing that. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for highlighting. Mihao, I also took from our one-on-one that we had where you mentioned like that there's a lot to refactor. Specifically, we need to finish up migrating to internal events and then also remove the usage data file. I think that's a good one. Not sure if you wanted to add anything more to that.
No, these are just like two efforts that I remember we started working on, but they are like big efforts that go over many milestones.
And then Ankit, you have the next point.
Yeah, so in the GitLab front-end code base, like the internal event module is like closely tied, coupled to the legacy snowplow tracking code. So we just pass all the arguments to the legacy one. So like maybe like refactoring wise, like we can make it independent so that like it helps to deprecate eventually the legacy snowplow code. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks for raising that. I think I'll like to chat more with you as well. Since I'm coming from front end, maybe we can bounce some ideas on like how we can do that.
Yeah.
And then Jonas, you have the next one. Would you like to vocalize?
Yeah, I was just thinking about so Mihao has been working on this thing where we can define multiple metrics in a single file, which means we potentially could merge a lot of existing definition files. I don't know if it's ready for that yet. It was just kind of an idea I wanted to add there. Meow, you put something there?
So yeah, I just added a link to the issue that would need to be completed before we can move on to merging definition.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I think another idea I had was like I think we have to dry run our issue procedure once in a while. As we've saw the last week, we didn't really have access to the systems we needed. And I think that would be good to, I can add it also. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So that was just something I don't know if it's really technical roadmap, but yeah.
No, I think that's a really good one because it has been a thing that bit us quite recently. So I think if we could maybe make this a process where every X months we make sure that all the team has access to all the right things. We know how to respond. We know what the procedure is in terms of like escalating it or triaging issues. I think that's very good, especially since a lot of what, in my experience, this team handles triaging and issues quite differently from usual product teams, since we're not customer facing yet, TBD. So yeah, I think for myself that will also be really good training to have. And then in terms of like research and POC, something that I'm also thinking about looking forward is whether or not there's any need or any worth that we'd get out of researching what we'd need to do in terms of opening up analytics events into, for example, like service ping to customers that are self-managed so that they can see like what we're sending and that they can also get worth on that. I think the vision is that, as I understand it, that self-managed customers can basically look at service ping data and use that to see how their own organization is using GitLab and get a better idea of like where they're getting the most out of the product, where there's blockers and stuff like that, which is I think closely tied with like what Optimize and also Product Insights is doing. So I think this is also where, as a stage, we could also potentially look at where we can collaborate and also spend some of that time on the roadmap looking forward.
So I believe that when it comes to service ping, self-managed users already have access to it. They can see their historical service pings, but they can like generate one to see what statistics do they have at a given moment. It requires admin access though to the instance.
Yeah, good point. Like there's also the like I think the team has built some API to start like requesting this data where you can like pull it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think like the next step from here is to maybe add some more fine-grained roles into who can view this, and then also adding like it as part of the UI, maybe using like the dashboarding framework or something. But we need to figure out, like Jonas mentioned, that there are some challenges in terms of making this real time because we batch process it. So we'll have to figure out exactly like how we're going to turn this into a dashboard because we haven't built it for that. And also doing that without completely bringing their instance to a halt, either through spamming their DB or using all the CPU while doing that in the background.
Yeah, I think just for context there, I think it would, I mean, we could just expose the data that we have in the service ping payload and maybe, I don't know, keep them, I don't know, last 10 service ping payloads and use that, like to visualize that. But I think it would be very, very tempting for Tanuja and anybody else wanting to build something visible on this that that you could access the data more, like access more recent data. Like why not see the last 24 hours of data or something like that? Because we are lagging quite a bit behind. It's pretty underwhelming to see. I want to go check this and you can get the results from like last week. So I just brought that up in the one-on-one with Ian because it's not really we're not really built for that yet. I mean, with the Redis metrics, we could pretty easily do it, but all the database metrics is potentially pretty difficult.
Yeah, and another thing is that service ping is like a huge payload on its own, so it's not very humanly readable. If we wanted to give it into the users, then probably would want to make some UI that maybe includes some of the like basic metrics like count of issues, etc.
Yeah, you probably want to merge the service ping payload with information like we have in the metric dictionary or something, so you can actually understand what it is and not just see key path and values. That would no, that's not very user friendly.
Yeah, I just want to add what we are doing now in data warehouse is about combining, calculating the metrics, what you said. For Redis, it's kind of okay, but for this database metric, it can be tough because we spend a couple of hours once per week to calculate all the metrics, and then it is kind of readable, but it's according only to SAS. If you're talking about self-managed, yeah, I agree with you folks. But I don't know what is the best recipe for that, but yeah.
Yeah, thanks for all the responses. I'm really excited to see the conversation starting on this, so that we can start highlighting concerns that we need to think about. And also, Jonas, like you said, when Tunisia gets really excited about this, I can tell her, okay, this is possible, this is not so easy, and this is impossible, for example. So thanks for that. And yeah, I'd like to continue this discussion going forward. We can, keep doing this async. I'll also maybe take some of this stuff onto Slack, and then next week we can also follow up. Anything else in terms of like the technical roadmap that the team would like to highlight?
I think it could be very beneficial to support adding like internal events, like non-Redis based metrics through the internal events CLI. So like database metrics through that.
Have you seen a lot of confusions around what's the motivation? I'm just curious.
Yeah, have seen plenty of confusion. And like especially because it's marked as deprecated, but there isn't a, a recommended solution.
Yeah, I just have a question around that side. Do we plan to add the generation of this event type to the CLI as well?
What do you mean?
I mean, like adding generating database metric types to the CLI that don't necessarily depend on the internal event.
No, I think we should add it. It's what I'm proposing we do right now.
Yeah.
There's an issue for it someplace. I can find it and link it in the agenda.
Yeah, thanks. That would be helpful. And thanks for raising this. I caught about, or I understood about 10% of that. So I'll dig into the issue and maybe ask some questions.
But maybe I'll add that since it's producing confusion right now, probably it would have a higher priority than all of these like ongoing refactor efforts when it comes to the engineering time.
Yeah, for the technical roadmap, it is, I think, ranging from quite soon till 6 months from now. I think that's like the max. So anything, I mean, part of this is also just changing our thinking to be more proactive. So it's not to say that this is going to happen way down the line from now. I agree that if it's confusing now and it's cause for concern, then yeah, let's do it and let's see like how soon we can fit this in.
Sarah, what do you think about adding, like rolling up some of the other tools, like the monitor into the CLI? We talked about that sometimes in the past. Is that something? Should we look at that? There was also like I had this small tool about for checking the key path for a metric. Not the key path, the Redis key. I don't know if we should just put all of it in the CLI. What do you think?
I like that. I think it would be great if any tooling can at least be like accessible through the CLI. That even if it doesn't live there, like in that code, the CLI can at least point to it. I think that has value.
Yeah, that's true. I remember I used some of the tools for like kind of inline bash scripting, and for that purpose, it's kind of nice that it's standalone. But you could also just be a reference from the CLI. That's cool.
Okay. That was a good discussion. Thanks all. And we can look back to this next week. We still have a lot of time left. This is an hour long call, and I have the last agenda item, so I'm just calling that out in case anyone wants to add something and discuss more. In the meantime, I'll talk through my last agenda item, and then the Heon podcast is over for now. Which is I saw that Tunisia raised the question about like revisiting our sync times since people are moving around. Daylight savings is a fun thing. And I just wanted to put the question out there about should we continue with this alternate sync meeting where one is more EMEA friendly and one is more APAC friendly? Or should we try to find one where everyone can attend and everyone is slightly unhappy? What do you all think about that?
And so I think it will not be possible to find a time that would work for everyone because we have members in Europe, in US, in Australia, New Zealand, and in India. So basically all around the world, like there wouldn't be a single time where no one is sleeping.
Yeah, I second that as well. I think the alternate meetings work best because, well, for us in the European time zone, we kind of are able to attend either one, but for some others, it's not so easy for them. So, but the good thing is we have a doc and they can always contribute a thing. So I think the alternates works.
Okay. Yeah, and do you all feel also that it's useful to meet up synchronous? Because the wild card alternative is to go completely async. But then we do lose some, face-to-face value. Personally, I would be sad to see it go, but I have seen teams also do it completely async.
I'm not into that.
Same. Well, I think these kind of random little discussions that come up during the sync, we don't really have a good another way to do that in sync. So I think that would be a shame.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's real value to just getting everyone on a call, and then sometimes a lot of good ideas and solutions can emerge. And even in a document async, even if live editing, it's not always the case. Okay, so I'll try and take this forward and see if I can find a time that works for the alternating calls. Also, I'll meet up with Tunisia tomorrow, and maybe we can also chat and like see what works for her.
Just a
Yeah.
suggestion, you could
Mhm.
look in our calendar and see what we did about a year ago.
Oh yeah.
Because I think we were kind of the same, spread over the same time zones, just for input.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Because yeah, we're back to that. Yeah, is there anything else anyone would like to talk about?
So what we've done recently is to stop the recording at the end of the agenda, and those who wants to can hang out and do a bit of social talk.
Yeah, it sounds cool. In that case, going once, going twice. Okay, stopping the recording.